Welcome back to Bluetti's Power Academy, where we're trying to help you guys get the most out of portable power. In previous lessons, we've covered what power stations are, how they work, and how to calculate your power needs. Now, we're going to take it to the next step and help you pick the right power station for your unique needs. At this point, you should have a rough idea of your numbers or at least know how to calculate them. But as we said in previous videos, choosing your right power station isn't just about battery capacity and inverter output. How you plan on using this power station in the real world actually matters. And that's exactly what we're going to explore in this third lesson in the series. So let's dive in. The first thing you should think about is how long do you actually need power? Not just what you're running, but how long do you want it to run for? If you only need a few hours of backup power during a short outage or something you would take with you on a camping trip, a smaller power station will be just fine. Take something like the Bluetti Elite 30 V2, for example. The small unit gives you 288 watt hours of battery capacity and a 600 watt inverter, which is perfect for charging things like phones, laptops, and small electronics over the course of a day. It's not going to get you through a lengthy outage, but it will get the job done if you just want to cover the basics. If you're planning for extended outages or longer off-grid use, that's where you need to start thinking of something bigger. A unit like the Bluetti Elite 100 V2 has a 1024 watt hour battery capacity and an 1800 watt inverter, which gives you significantly more runtime and flexibility than that Elite 30 V2. And you could step up again to Bluetti's Elite 200 V2. This gives you a 2073 watt hour battery capacity and a 2600 watt inverter. Now you're in a position to run your appliances and your devices much longer. And so the first question is simple. How long do you need your power station to be able to run in between charges? The next thing to consider is portability, and this is where a lot of people make mistakes. Sure, a unit with a big battery and a huge inverter is great, but are you going to be able to bring it where you need it, or is it going to end up being too heavy and bulky? Smaller entry-level units like the Elite 30 V2 are obviously designed to be grab and go. That particular unit weighs less than 10 pounds, so you could throw it in the backseat of your car, carry it around with one hand, and bring it pretty much anywhere. But once you move into the midsize and larger units, things get a little more difficult. A unit like the Elite 200 V2 is still fairly portable. It's just over 50 pounds, but it's not something you're going to want to carry casually around for long distances. And once you get into the larger systems like the Apex 300 or Elite 400, portability starts to become less of a focus. These units are pretty much designed to sit in one place and be moved when necessary. Now, some units like the Elite 400 actually have a built-in suitcase handle and wheels, so even though it's still about 80 pounds, it's not the easiest thing to pick it up. Having that suitcase handle and wheels allows you to make it a lot more portable and drag it around wherever you need it, versus the Apex 300, which is also about 80 pounds, and all it has is two handles. But still, neither of those are things you're going to want to be carrying upstairs or out to a remote campsite. Basically, you need to decide early how much portability matters to you. So you got to ask yourself, is this something you're going to be carrying around with you more regularly, or is this more of a permanent backup power station? If it's just going to be set in the corner for backup power, you can go much heavier. If you need to bring something with you, you're going to be a lot more limited on what you can buy. So we talked about inverter output in a previous lesson, but something a lot of people overlook is running simultaneous loads. Sure, you may have chose a unit that can run your coffee machine, but can it run your coffee machine and charge your phone at the same time? Maybe not. Remember, if you're only charging small devices like phones and keeping a few lights on, you really won't need much power output. But the moment you start running bigger household appliances, things change really quickly. A 600 watt inverter, like something you would get on the Bluetti Elite 30 V2, is great for running basic appliances like lights, but it won't run something high demand like a microwave or a space heater. Once you move up to something like the Elite 100 V2 with its 1800 watt inverter rating, you could start running more meaningful loads. And with the Apex 300 and its 3800 watt split phase inverter, you can comfortably run multiple demanding loads all at once, including kitchen appliances and power tools. So the question here isn't just what you'll want to run, it's how many appliances do you want to run at the same time. Speaking of what you're going to want to run, something a lot of people overlook is port types. As you've probably guessed, not every power station is set up the same way. If you're mostly charging phones and laptops, a couple USB ports, and maybe one AC outlet might be enough. But if you're running appliances, power tools, and still some of those smaller electronics, you're probably gonna want multiple AC outlets as well as multiple USBs. Mid-range and large power stations usually come equipped with multiple 120 volt plugs and multiple different USB options. Typically you get 12 volt car sockets and higher output plugs on bigger units like a 30 amp for something like an RV. So instead of just thinking about power numbers, think about what it is that you're going to be plugging into your power station. How many things are you going to have plugged in, and what type of plugs do they use? This is a big one, especially if you're thinking about the long term. Some power stations are fixed systems, meaning the battery capacity you get when you take it out of the box is all you're ever going to get. Others are expandable, meaning you can add expansion batteries later if you want to increase your total battery capacity. Take the Apex 300, for example. When you buy that unit, you're buying a modular system that you can upgrade with more batteries over time. The main Apex 300 power station has a 2,764 watt-hour battery, but if you max out the amount of expansion batteries you can with that power station, you can get an insane 58,000 watt hours of battery capacity. This is a huge advantage if you're not ready to invest in a huge system right away. You can start with something smaller and then scale up over time as your needs grow or as your budget for doing so grows. So if you think your power needs might increase in the future, we recommend an expandable power station. Another factor that doesn't get enough attention is charging speeds. Charging speed refers to your AC and solar input, which are both measured in watts. Basically, when your power station's battery is drained, these numbers will determine how fast you can charge it up. Typically, the bigger a power station gets, the higher the solar input number and the AC input number get, allowing you to charge it at a reasonable rate for the battery capacity. Take the Bluetti Elite 200 V2, for example. It has an 1800 watt AC input as well as a 1000 watt solar input. Given that it has a 2070 watt hour battery, if you were to charge this thing up with solar, if you had good sun conditions, you could charge it fully in about 2 hours. If you were to charge it with a regular wall outlet in your home at 1800 watts, it would charge up in just over 1 hour. If you're planning to use solar input regularly, solar input matters because with a low solar input, it's going to take a long time to charge your power station with solar panels. If you spent a lot of money on solar panels or you're relying on them for off-grid power, not only would it take a long time to charge your unit, but a lot of the power those panels are generating could be wasted. This is because any power that those panels generate over your rated solar input won't go anywhere. Again, units with bigger batteries tend to have bigger inputs, but it's still something to keep an eye on. At this point, you might be noticing a bit of a pattern. There is no best power station. It really comes down to how you're planning to use it. If you want something portable and only need it to last a few hours, something like the Elite 30 V2 might make sense. If you want something really powerful that you can set up in a corner and just kind of leave it, something like the Apex 300 is probably a better choice for you. And you can upgrade that unit over time. And then you have a lot of units in the middle. So you can make your decision based on your inputs, outputs, but also the weight, the plugs, and the overall design of that power station. The best power station isn't gonna be the flashiest one. It's gonna be the one that best fits your lifestyle. Now that you know how to choose the best power station, the next step is understanding what accessories actually matter. Things like solar panels, smart transfer switches, extra ports, and expansion batteries can completely change your experience when it comes to power stations.